Hey, you're watching Deep Dives. In case that wasn't already clear, this is part 2 of our expose on shady black influencers. We covered apparel and financial influencers last time, and this time we're taking a look at one company that used celebrity gossip and the darkest aspects of human nature to build a following and drive their entire business model. Not every topic we discuss on this channel is going to be direct financial scams. Some have much more damaging effects on people's mental health and self-esteem. I don't like getting into stereotypical topics here. It's just not really possible to cover problematic influencers without giving this platform the breakdown it deserves. If you get paid to spread nonsense about an underserved community, it absolutely qualifies as a scam to me. Let's take a deeper look at the Shade Room and their founder, Angelica Nwandu. I had to unblock them for this. I blame y'all.
The site provides news and entertainment updates to more than 28 million followers.
She's also faced some criticism for the types of stories she posts and for how some people say she reflects or represents black culture.
See, in the beginning, we started off real salacious. I think it was T.I. cheating on Tiny on Mother's Day.
Now, if you're way more fortunate than I am, you might not know what the hell the Shade Room is. I apologize in advance.
Yes, I'm not playing with y'all. No, mom, y'all that work for my.
And all my fans, y'all too.
That's why y'all can't get no man. Your stuff gotta be tight and right. Half of y'all don't know how to douche.
The Shade Room is a celebrity gossip media empire composed of a website and several social media platforms. They have millions of followers on IG, over 1 million on TikTok, and they reach millions between Snapchat and Twitter. Most of their posts consist of taking pics or videos someone else posted, typically the person themselves, adding meme quality text on top with their logo slapped somewhere on it, and nothing else. Sometimes it's just a logo watermark on top of their original post with a little pic insert to amp up the audience's reaction. This one's literally just somebody's baby with their logo on it. Anything that gets engagement is fair game. That's the Shade Room's bar. They know celebrities draw attention, so most posts feature someone famous. And the overwhelming majority are Black Americans. They're all tacky on a level that's hard to describe unless you're familiar with meme culture. And unfortunately, most of us don't flinch at an image with 3 captions in 3 different fonts. There's also these hashtags they use to categorize the type of post it is, from TSR updates and TSR clicked up to TSR cut the foolery and TSR fresh out, which is for posts about people who just got out of prison. They've even branded posts about death with TSR prayers up. Just to make sure we're being balanced in this reporting, I'll note that they have positive posts as well as some that stimulate political discourse, even if it is gossipy discourse. Gen Z rapper NLE Choppa is platformed here for showing love to the queer community, which is dope to see. I'm really not into celeb gossip, personally. If y'all are anything like me, you're already tired of seeing these posts. Imagine what it was like researching it.
You could have told me faster that you opposed to rappers. Pick up my clothing after. Baby, you find it.
We'll get to the damaging trash on their socials shortly, but let me give you an example of one of their actual articles. A couple months ago, a TV host named Raymond Arroyo claimed Trump dropping these god-awful gold shoes with a T on the side was helping him connect with Black voters. And he went that extra step further by implying that we'd actually vote for this man.
This is connecting with Black America because they love sneakers. They're into sneakers. They love this is a big deal, certainly in the inner city.
First, how many Black people do you know? And secondly, anyone who says inner city is desperately out of touch. Did I mention he's a Fox News host yet? He's a Fox News host. It would be easy for me to write this off as if everything the Shade Room produces is poorly thought out trash with no editorial value or journalistic standards. But that's not the case. This article will never win any awards, but it's generally well written and restrains itself from sensationalism pretty effectively. That being said, they can't resist sprinkling a little social media lingo and literal tweets into it to land in that sweet spot between legitimate journalism and BuzzFeed top 10 articles. RIP BuzzFeed News. They were actually kind of legit. To further drill down on this point, I want to review a very serious piece of journalism from the Shade Room staff before I get into all my criticism. A few weeks ago, yesterday when I was writing this, they did an in-person investigation into the murder of Kenneth Sharp, a 20-year-old killed by police after people called the cops on him when he exited his car. 2 officers pulled up with no lights while he and his girlfriend were asleep in the car. The police were told he had a weapon by the person who called, and they allegedly opened fire after seeing it, running away, and then firing when he stepped out. It was a legally registered assault weapon, by the way. It shouldn't matter, but for some of y'all, it does. I only watch the footage because I have to, but I want to be clear about this. We don't need to subject ourselves to mental anguish to maintain the stamps on our Black passport. I don't want to see that ever again. All told, this was a concise, moderately well-written article that serves the purpose of adding context to a pretty good, independently produced piece. I have nothing negative to say about it. It's valid, and we need more of it from as many sources as possible. Justin Carter from the Shade Room spoke to the victim's mother and family, reported on the details of the case, and informed viewers about next steps in the case the family filed. Good work, and it's one of the last positive things I'll say about their work in this piece. Let's talk about how they built this media empire in the first place.
I take it to the top floor.
The Shade Room's founder is a woman named Angelica Nwandu. She's a Nigerian American, which typically comes with an immense amount of academic and social pressures. She grew up in LA and was actually born a week after me. Wait a minute. Her birthday's tomorrow. Yes, I did just turn 34, and that's the main reason this is being filmed in Toronto. According to this article in Forbes by Ronisha Bing, her family expected her to be a successful accountant. I can relate directly to this next part. She eventually found herself at a crossroads between her check and her purpose at her day job, which was at an accounting firm. She got into a Sundance Film Festival and performed poetry while crying because she was broke after being fired. Luckily, the founding director of Sundance, Michelle Satter, was moved enough to give her a $5,000 grant on the spot. I know how a moment like that feels. Angelica said in this fireside chat at Facebook's New York office that the grant money ran out within 3 months, and she had to watch her friends graduate with great jobs or move on to grad school. I've been there, man. Every single one of my friends from college are engineers working on rockets or car manufacturing systems. I was making minimum wage working at Universal Orlando and substitute teaching right after college. Even when I did get more gainful employment years later, I was still making music and videos because I just liked doing it and I was good at it. But I wanted to quit every single month. This next part of Angelica's story is where I start to take issue. She says she's very spiritual and quoted the Bible to keep herself focused on the goal. I don't think she's lying, but we'll circle back to that point. Last thing she speaks on in the interview is fear. A friend of hers pointed out that she technically doesn't even need housing to make her dream happen. She needed a laptop, internet, and a phone. I think that opinion is completely false, but let's proceed as if it makes sense, because it made sense to Angelica at the time. Her turning point came when she offered advertising on the Shade Room for $75 and earned her whole rent in one day. I can relate to that one too. My first song placement on a television show was on season 4 of Being Mary Jane. It's not always about the money, right? But money can change your perspective on your life and purpose, especially when you're at a low point emotionally. The money from that placement allowed me to buy a home studio, stop paying to record elsewhere, and produce entire albums from my room. It changed everything. I would not have continued creating if I hadn't run into certain big wins that let me know, yes, you belong here. Yes, you have external value in this industry. It's priceless validation. The last point I'll make with regard to her founding story is about funding. The Shade Room is a mostly independent business, and Angelica's proud of never running programmatic ads or taking VC money. She says, "We self-fund. We never had a red quarter." This is false. She took a $100,000 convertible note early on from Bryce Roberts of NDVC. In layman's terms, that's just a time-restricted loan given in exchange for shares of the company. Angelica says she's paid most of that loan down by now, but I really don't like when people claim to have no support when there's people out here who literally have zero funding. Important thing to note, the Shade Room was founded on Instagram, then created a website, not the other way around like most other sites. This is one aspect that indicates how much more tapped in they were to the direction the internet was moving in. According to the Pew Research Center, at least half of US adults get news from social media, either sometimes or often. This is gonna make y'all sad, but 3 out of 10 get news from Facebook, with slightly less getting theirs from YouTube. Yeah, I'm part of that now. That's wild. I should note one more thing that will sound obvious to anyone who uses the site. A little over half of Twitter, I'm not calling it X, users get their news there. TikTok is a dark horse as far as growth over time, going from 22% to 43% of their users getting their news there, which is scary. A video with micro paragraphs and no sources cited is not reporting. I know y'all are curious, so real quick. Men favor Reddit the most, while women favor Nextdoor, actually. In this BuzzFeed news piece, don't hate, they did some legitimately good journalism. Nwandu dropped several noteworthy quotes about her attitude towards the toxicity of her platform. In a nutshell, she doesn't really care that much. The issue I have with them specifically is fourfold. Number one, from Angelica down to each of the 34 employees listed on their LinkedIn, they're fully aware that their audience is extremely homophobic, transphobic, and misogynistic. Number two, they take insufficient action to prevent that culture from persisting. Number three, the Shade Room leans into their aforementioned awareness of the audience's hateful nature to monetize negativity. And number four, Angelica Nwandu is a member of the Black diaspora, but she is not a Black American. Her company actively pollutes the global discourse around a group of people she does not belong to. This is the part where I prove it. When Blackman asked Angelica about how the Shade Room words their captions on posts about the queer community, she said, "Our audience is primarily Black, and I think that in the Black community, homophobia is actually prevalent." Blackman pointed out in the article that it isn't more prevalent with us than any other ethnic group, but based on the source he included, I'd say that's kind of false. Data from another Pew Research Center study concluded that as of 2019, about 51% of Black people supported same-sex marriage. Last I checked, the difference between 51% and 62% for white people is significant, my guy. That being said, we've progressed quite a bit. The most surprising stat for me was 65% of Black Protestants supporting protections for the queer community. I don't think anybody expected the oldest generations to be leading this charge, so their low numbers track. And it's definitely not surprising that Black women are more in favor of it than Black men are. Back to Angelica's quote, though. She followed it up with this: "But why should we stop talking about the LGBTQ community simply because our audience is homophobic? Don't they deserve to be represented in media?" Ma'am, grabbing a pic and stamping a TSR watermark on it is not representation. Instagram lets you create multi-slide videos, and I'm sure you have at least one designer on staff. They don't need to be posted at all because your company doesn't need to exist. But at the bare minimum, celebrity news can be presented and branded better with complete context. Your entire brand is focused on quantity over quality, proven by the simple fact that you pump out dozens of posts a day. It allows you to outcompete other gossip blogs like YBF, That Grape Juice, Sandra Rose, Nicole Bitchie, and Concrete Loop. But at what cost? With regard to improving moderation, she had this to say: "If the community were a little bit nicer, it would help us, but it's almost impossible for us to manage. We post 40 to 70 times a day, and we blocked out certain words that you can say. It's just hard for us to control the audience." She uses Reddit and other social platforms as comparisons here, but there's a very distinct difference between a platform that hosts thousands of smaller forums like Reddit and the Shade Room's social accounts and site, where they control all content. Reddit routinely shuts down entire subreddits when they're found to contain hate speech or illegal content that's against their policies. Y'all could just not post that bullshit. They also openly nudge their followers in that direction in not so subtle ways. Their caption on this Lil Nas X post is a prime example. They knew this would amplify the hate. If you choose to post something and you know how your fans will react to it, you're not able to then claim you're an objective party in the inevitable harassment. She said herself that the majority of their content comes from the roommates. The site gets thousands of DMs and goes through all of it to source content. If your audience is sending you material, you're the one deciding to give it legitimacy by then sharing it with millions of people. The Shade Room makes a lot of money. Their advertisers list includes many Fortune 500 companies. And with tens of millions of followers across their various pages, that means massive checks. We're talking huge automotive manufacturers like Nissan and Ford, tech giants like Apple, Tidal, and Cricket, and even media conglomerates such as Warner Brothers and NBC Universal. My day job is at an ad agency, so I know firsthand how much companies will pay to reach a desirable audience. The Shade Room has a huge, mostly African-American audience in an ideal age range with significant disposable income. This ad shows how far they've had to go in order to ensure they bring in revenue. The advertiser is called Get Your Body, and they straight up call out BBLs to sell vitamin pills for weight gain. Every part of that sentence is problematic, but on a deeper level, ads like this just show how little they respect their roommates. It feeds into pre-existing body dysmorphia issues a lot of women suffer from. One glance at Get Your Body's Instagram reveals that they specifically target African-American women and straight up claim these pills can increase your bust size and send weight to your hips and ass. I don't guarantee many things on this channel, but I can damn near promise you that this company will be shut down or rebranded with a completely different name within a couple years. One of their most frequent advertisers is Fashion Nova. This is a prime example, combining a YouTuber who's been very public about having multiple surgeries with their audience, which doesn't hesitate to shame her about it. With that being said, when you post a 40-year-old rapper's rant about a child's gender identity, serving up 3 people to get verbally assaulted at the same time in the name of being a platform for conversation and lose 0 sponsors, you know exactly what you're doing. And so does Get Your Body, Fashion Nova, or whoever the
Dwayne Wade, you gone too fucking far, dog. That is a male, a 12-year-old. At 12, they don't even know what their next meal gonna be. They don't have figured out yet. He might meet a woman, anything at 16 and fall in love with her. But his dick be gone. How he gonna, like, bro, you going too far, dog. Don't cut his dick off, bro.
This last point is touchy, but it needs to be said. I was talking to a friend before writing this, and she pointed this out based on prior discussions with first and second generation immigrants. While we have some shared experiences with our Nigerian friends, and they are absolutely part of the Black diaspora, they have their own proud history and tribes that they loudly identify with. Angelica says multiple times that her company reflects the Black community as it is. And that brings one question to mind. How the hell would you know? I have no intention of starting a war in my comment section, but it's well known within our community that some African immigrants look down on us for what they perceive as a lack of culture and lower academic aspirations and achievements than them.
But I was still, surrounded by like a lot of Nigerian family members and still had the Nigerian influence. And that helped me. Honestly, it helped me to see myself not just as a foster child, but also as this Nigerian culture, person who's coming here, who comes from a background of educated people. So, I was able to be steered in the right direction, I'll say.
Angelica and her entire company have played a significant part in exacerbating the very real issues of educational disparities, homophobia, and negative gender discourse within our community. I know they have Black American employees. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves, to be honest. You're not just part of the problem, you are the problem.
Once upon a time, all of us was in chains. Homie still double down, calling us some slaves. Atlanta was the mecca, building railroads and trains. Bear with me for a second, let me put y'all on game.
The author of the article we've been citing, BuzzFeed's Michael Blackman, focused on the distinction between the audience's reaction to certain posts and whether or not the caption provoked them into doing so. In my opinion, that's not the point. When you platform people's irrelevant, entitled, and asinine opinions, just because the subject is famous, you are the problem. Some media critics struggle with balancing the raw, real inspiration from the story of a minority's come up with the indefensible evil they've helped bring into the world. We saw it with R. Kelly, whose music is no longer on any of my playlists. I can't relate to that struggle to separate the two. I was raised by two parents with a very clear vision of what's right and what's wrong. Fame doesn't change that, clout doesn't change that, and money doesn't change that. I blocked the Shade Room years ago. Last thing we need to circle back to, as promised. Angelica said she's religious. Given the damage the Shade Room has done and her constant defense of it, she actually has a lot in common with most other famous religious figures. So I believe that part. I promise y'all, we're gonna get into the connection between prominent religious figures and scams in the very near future. Hold tight. The Shade Room has capitalized on every corner of Black insecurities and stereotypes. I'm not under the impression that one piece will affect them in any way, but I hope that those who find themselves getting drawn in by that content can see the points we've made and withdraw your support for this chaos. Y'all got the information now. Can't say I ain't tell you.